Hey guys, Happy New Year! Welcome back. Richie here. In this video, I'm going to talk about some model shops I went to in Tokyo and kind of talk about some of the different ones. So if you're going to visit, these are places to go. Hey, so don't worry, I'm not going to hit you with a bunch of holiday photos, but I just got back from a trip to Vietnam and Tokyo, and Tokyo being the mecca of modeling, hit a few model shops. So I thought I'd share my experience with you guys. So if you ever traveled to Tokyo, these are some places you may want to visit. Now, if you're not familiar with my channel, I pretty much do aircraft, military aircraft, so I'm not into Gunpla and Gundam, all that kind of stuff. So, there's tons, hundreds of stores specialize in that. This video is more about aircraft, which is my passion and my genre. So, start off, the first place I went to, got off the plane, got a quick shower, and I head to Shinbashi, part of Tokyo, and went to the TAMIYA store. TAMIYA fanboy ever since I was a tiny child, probably 6, 7 years old, building TAMIYA models, and that's made the pilgrimage. So don't be confused. TAMIYA factory isn't actually in Tokyo. The factory itself is 2 or 3 hours west on a bullet train outside Tokyo, and that's where you see some people's videos where you see all the beautiful dioramas and museum. That's where the factory is. Now they have a store in Tokyo, which I'm talking about, and that's the in Shinbashi area. Now the store itself is 2 levels. So you walk in and it has all the models, kits on the upstairs, and it has RC on the downstairs. So didn't really spend much time downstairs, looked around upstairs, and it had all the typical TAMIYA stuff. Now bear in mind it's a retail store, so all the TAMIYA stuff was retail pricing. So if you want to buy TAMIYA kits, you might find better pricing from some of the third-party independent model shops rather than buying from TAMIYA direct. So I didn't buy any models there. A couple of reasons. Again, firstly, because the pricing was retail pricing, although way cheaper than the US, but you could find it cheaper in other Tokyo stores. But secondly, I was traveling pretty light, and maybe deliberately I didn't have much space, so I could buy tons of kits and bring them back. Unless I bought a FedEx box and FedExed it back and spent hundreds of dollars in shipping, which wouldn't have been efficient. So did buy t-shirt, keychain, stickers, that kind of stuff, some merch. Didn't buy any kits. So I didn't really do much filming there. I didn't do any filming, took a couple of pictures because, again, there's tons of people have done videos walking around the store filming it. So I didn't really need to duplicate other people's content. So that was a TAMIYA store. Real cool neighborhood area, part of town. That Shinbashi area is where I get off the train and kind of walk there. There's tons of little back streets, all these little micro bars and restaurants and stuff. So it's a really cool kind of part of town. Whereas the rest of the modeling is in, well, firstly, I'm going to apologize for my pronunciation. I don't speak Japanese, but I think it's Akihabara is how you pronounce it. And that's electronics district, and that's where the model shops are. So, well, most of them are. And yeah, so that's where I went from there. So I took the train from Shinbashi to Akihabara, and it was getting late. It was about 7:45, and a lot of stores kind of closed around 8 o'clock, ones on the hit. So I got to, next one I went to was Yellow Submarine RPG. If you Google it, it's called RPG. And all of these places you can Google. So Yellow Submarine RPG on the 6th floor. So like most of these places in Tokyo, it's like small buildings, little elevators, and you take it to the right floor, and then the store is kind of higher up, 6th, 7th floor, wherever it may be. So I went to the Yellow Submarine, and it clues in the title RPG. Walked in, and this was about 7:30 at night actually, and it's all role-playing stuff. So like you Warhammer kind of things, like your board games basically, and your role-playing stuff. It wasn't model kits. So I was like, so what wasn't my genre. So that was Yellow Submarine RPG. So then the guy pointed me in the right direction for the correct Yellow Submarine, which was, I'm looking at my notes here, Hobby Base. So it's known, if you Google it, Hobby Base, Yellow Submarine. And that was also on the 6th floor. So that was about a fast-paced 5-minute walk, 10-minute walk, by which time, I knew it was getting close to closing time. And I was in Tokyo for 1 day on the way out, and I was going to hit Tokyo on the way back, but it'll be New Year, so I wasn't sure these places would be closed. So I fastly walked to this Yellow Submarine Hobby Base, and it's off a side street, and it's in a mall. Basically, it's a shopping mall of just anime and modeling, and a lot of anime kind of figures, that kind of thing. So worked my way up to the 6th floor, the elevator again, fits like 3 people in. And so I just went up the escalator, 6th floor to the top, and that's where I found the model shop. Went in it, and it was a very traditional kind of what you find in the US or UK kind of model shop. It was pretty big, good selection, mostly modern kind of stuff. Had all like Hasegawa stuff, Academy, TAMIYA. Some of you like I'm trying to think now, all your armor stuff. Decent selection, not a massive selection, but decent selection, and the prices kind of were okay. So it was kind of 10 minutes to closing, 5 minutes to closing when I walked in. So I quickly kind of rushed, see what I could find, and I just grabbed a Academy 72nd scale FA18. You can easily buy it at home, but I wanted to at least buy something while I was there, not knowing if I could buy anything else while I was in Tokyo. So grabbed that, and that was around about 16 bucks, I think it was converted. So out here to maybe about 28, so 25, 28, so definitely savings. So I picked that up, paid, and left just before, as it was closing. So that was Yellow Submarine Hobby Base. That's a good one to try. Didn't find many tools and stuff. Maybe, again, I was in there really quickly, so maybe out back, different part of it, they had like paints and tools and stuff. So that kind of ended my night, and I went to Vietnam, came back a few days later, and hit it full on. And next up was Leonard ET. Now ET, there's a couple of Leonard stores. This one's ET. So down again, Akihabara district. All of these pretty much are. And it was, I walked in there, and it was a treasure trove. It was down like a side alley, back alley of Tokyo. Tokyo was very safe, but you walk down this alley and you find the store. Walk in, floor to ceiling model kits. And I did get a video of this one, and I'll show it. A little bit frustrating. When you're on your own, it's fine, but when there's other people in the store, there's really only one way around this thing. So you're constantly kind of moving, having to walk and move to let people through because it's so narrow. But this thing is floor to ceiling, probably 75% aircraft, mostly 90s. I try to figure out what it is. They're new. They're not used kits, but it's like new old stock. So it's, I don't know if he buys this guy buys them used or what the deal is, but the complete. Some of them are in plastic, and mostly like 90s Hasegawa, like aircraft and stuff like that. Tons of stuff, as you see, floor to ceiling, you name it, there's a lot of stuff going on there. Not much new stuff. This is more the old, like, say, 90s. So, like, stuff been out the last couple of years, I didn't really necessarily see it there. But again, good pricing. Did have a nice aisle of vehicles, like TAMIYA and Hasegawa cars. Noticed a few things. Hasegawa had the Williams Form 1 car, the FW14. It had the one with white metal, which is really hard to find, like the engine and stuff. That was there. They had a Wave, like a resin Ferrari 512 Ti, I think it was. It looked very unusual. I looked it up on eBay. There it was $100 on eBay. Here in the US, it's about $200, $250 if you can find one. So I had a few little rare things. If you're into your cars, there's a few things there. Bikes, had a row of armor, but mostly aircraft. The problem, I did pick a couple of things up, went to pay. Problem there is it's cash only. And I found that a lot in Tokyo, unusually, but a lot of Tokyo for a very Western, not Western, but very advanced country, a lot of it's cash only, which is kind of a little bit frustrating for me. So the train, for example, from the airport and getting on the subway, cash only, no cards. So this place was cash only. So I said, hey, I'm going to go to the ATM. I come back. I didn't end up going back. I just went somewhere else instead. Because what I grabbed was just generic Hasegawa stuff. Maybe, typical $15 maybe for a 72nd scale kit, but nothing really, no holy grails or anything. So left that store. We didn't really have, again, no real paints or tools or anything like that, just mostly kits. So while I'm talking about Leonard, there's another Leonard store. There's Leonard LG, which is more in the center of Akihabara. And that one was actually closed. So I went there on New Year's Day and it was closed. But looking at some pictures, that seemed like a similar kind of vibe to the ET one I went to. And I just showed a video of. But it was more, I think maybe it had more modern stuff and more newer releases there. So that's another one. So 2 Leonards, ET and LG, definitely check out. From there, I went to TamTam Hobby Shop. Now that was, again, high up. I think it was like 5th or 6th floor, again, high up. It's pretty easy to find. End building, big blue, yellow letters, TamTam. And that was actually a really good store. They had a lot of God Hand stuff, like God Hand tools. I bought some like little sanding stuff, some Gunpla again, Did have a row of like armor, aircraft. Did have some brand new releases for aircraft on semi-second scale. I think at the time of recording this, they had like a Fine Molds F-15, like a Desert Storm one. That's a new release, and they had a FA-18 Hornet, Super Hornet, and they had it was one, I can't remember the markings, but it's just late released the past couple of months. Prices were kind of high there though. So that, for example, that Hasegawa Super Hornet was, I think, converted to around about $32. Whereas here in scale hobbyist here in the US, I can get it for like $28.99. So it wasn't really any cheaper than the US. So I didn't buy anything there on these sanding sponges. They did have Mr. Hobby airbrushes, good price, about $70, $75 for the ones I use, the PS289. But again, spray gunner here in the US, you can get one without the box for like $75. So prices are pretty comparable. So it wasn't a big savings. It wasn't worth me kind of buying stuff. But it did have a lot of Mr. Hobby paints. Again, there was some little ambiguity about taking them on the aircraft because of lack of paints. So I didn't want to risk it or take any, so I didn't buy any. But good selection, good tools, and yeah, nice store, nicely spaced out, laid out. But again, kind of pricey. I think God Hands. I looked at God Hands, the sprue clips, nippers. I can't remember that price, but they weren't cheap. They were like up $40-$50 converted. They weren't like what used to be like 25 in Japan. So they were pretty highly priced. That store was interesting because the floor below it was sold guns. And I think I walked around, I think they're airsoft guns. They had tons of airsoft guns, but I did notice they had some cool patches. So into that kind of thing, they had some cool like Japanese patches, and they had all the airsoft like armor, like body armor and guns and that kind of stuff. That was a different store, the level below. So that was TamTam Hobby Shop. Now, the final one and the best one, which somebody gave me a tip on my Facebook group, wasn't actually in Akihabara. It was about, again, 20 minutes west in, again, I'm looking at my notebook and excuse my pronunciation, but some along the lines of Shimo Kitazawa City, or Setagaya City. And it's like a Bohemian district. It was really cool. It's like a lot of like vintage clothing and just cool to walk around. Some good little places to eat, and then just streets, or these narrow streets with just vintage clothing. And then there was a store called Hobby Shop Sunny. And this by far was the best one I went in. Walked in there, again, floor to ceiling. I'll do a little video. You need to breathe in to get through some of these aisles, but it had everything. Again, mostly probably aircraft, at least 60% aircraft, had a lot of armor, had like cool stuff like Airshima Thunderbirds kits, which I almost bought, but again, space constraints. Had some TAMIYA paints and tools, and some Mr. Hobby paints and tools, I think, as well. Two prices, had a cash price and a credit card price. Again, going back to what I mentioned earlier, cash is king in Tokyo. So if you pay with cash, you got a little bit, like maybe 5-10% cheaper. So looked around, a few things I was looking for. I couldn't quite find some stuff I really wanted, but I did end up picking up one kit, and again, space constraints, I was really good. Ended up with one kit, and that was a Japanese marked, cool markings F-15, just because it kind of cool looked, and I was in Japan, so I picked that up, and almost picked up the Thunderbird 3 with the whole diorama set. But again, it's space, and try and take the stuff back on the plane. But this store, yeah, cool part of town, as I mentioned, and it had all the latest releases, all the new stuff, and a good mixture. Some like the really hard to find stuff, like I was looking for a semi-second scale Prowler Hasegawa kit, didn't have that. Nowhere had that one. Some of these harder to find kind of stuff, not necessarily there, but a lot of all new releases. They had like Magic Factory here, Magic Factory, Corsairs. They had some Zvezda stuff, I think, too. So good real mix of stuff, and great selection. And yeah, for sure, if I was going to go to Tokyo, that'd be the one store to check out. Again, Hobby Shop Sunny, and that's in the Shimo Kitazawa City. Excuse my pronunciation once more. But just Google Hobby Shop Sunny, and that's where you'll find it. If I remember, I'll put links to these places below, the Google links. And what I found was Google Maps was imperative. It was awesome in being in Tokyo. Being somebody from, well, British but living in the US, not speaking Japanese, definitely worth getting the international plan on my phone and paying the extra, because it just really helped navigate the city. I just punched it in my Google Maps, and it took me, you know, walking directions exactly to where I need to go, no problem at all. So I wasn't walking the back streets, getting lost. So Google Maps, definitely. And also it's really cool with the trains too. I found the trains really complicated. I guess there's different train companies and they run different train lines within the metro system. So where in London, you have the underground, you go District Line or Circle Line or Piccadilly Line, you can change between all of them. In Tokyo, they're kind of almost separated. You have these different lines. So I found that very difficult. But with Google Maps, if you just punched in where you want to go, it would give you all the train times. Not only that, it would pop up, it would tell you which line to go to, which train station to go to, which line, how many stops, what platform number. All that was through Google Maps. That pretty much was a game changer for me. So that was awesome. So yeah, so there we go. So that's really my real quick summary of my little trip to Japan and model shops. Hopefully you find that one interesting if you're going to visit. Again, Sunny Model or Hobby Shop Sunny, if you're looking for planes, is the way to go. But all these other ones are pretty cool as well. Now, I'm sure I'm only scratched the surface here. These are the main ones that popped up on Google in English translations. There's going to be dozens of other little tiny ones, just as good as this probably in the back streets you'll probably find there. But again, Akihabara is the place to go for the models, electronics district, but a couple of these other ones are outlying areas as well. But yeah, so thank you. Doorbell's just ringing there, some package at the door, so good time to stop. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.